So I get to university and we start this events company, and it's the first thing that I've ever really felt like I excelled at and got social renown for. So very quickly, I begin to attach my sense of success to the success of the business. A lot of young, especially guys who want to be accepted. If you do have a business and you do find some success with it, you will do this. And it's a pitfall that you need to be aware of. And I imagine it's the same for girls too.
Mm-hmm.
You do a thing, the world tells you that you are enough, or that it praises you because you do the thing. Therefore, you become the thing. So it wasn't just, I ran a good or bad club night last Saturday. It was, I am a good or bad person.
No, you're self-identifying with the achievement as a referendum on who you are as a person.
Correct. And because I'm British, I've got a Puritan work ethic. And what I did was, this was the pernicious bit. And this is the pitfall that people really need to watch out for. I realized that reliably, the quality of my work was better if I suffered. Therefore, if I suffered, I usually got better outcomes.
And you feel good about yourself because you suffered.
Correct.
You worked for it, you earned it.
So the lead indicator of what would be a lagging measure, the lead indicator was suffering, the lagging measure would be success. Then, this is the thing that I did. I shortcutted the success part and went straight to the suffering part. And if success came without suffering, I felt like it wasn't worthy. I felt like I hadn't worked hard enough to get it. And I then had two things that I needed to do. So not only did the event need to be good, not only did it need to run well, if it wasn't a success, I was a failure. And if the success came and I hadn't suffered, I was also a piece of shit. So there was two ways
that's sort of akin to imposter syndrome, right? Like, it was successful. I didn't really work for it. I don't really deserve this. People are going to find out that I don't really know what I'm doing. Or is that something different?
Perhaps. I feel like there's probably a veneer of imposter syndrome in there too. But it felt more visceral than imposter syndrome. And it wasn't anxiety around it not happening well next time and me not being good enough. It was just that I needed to suffer. And that's what this Puritan work ethic thing does, man. And it's a hell of a drug, especially if you're from one of the imperial colonial powers. That you can imagine, in the Middle Ages, these priests, and they're hoeing the ground and the sun's beating down on their back and they're doing it in service of God. It's not about the work, it's about the suffering, and they've got a cat o' nine tails and they're flagellating themselves for penance.
We're sinners. We're bad people. We need to be punished. Let's flog ourselves. Let's do it in the context of our work and make that a spiritual practice.
But without the spiritualism, without any of the spiritual payoff. And that was where I got to. And you also said two other things that I thought was really, really interesting. And I thought about this when I spent a bit of time in CrossFit. And I saw a lot of people in CrossFit talk about suffering and discomfort and stuff. But if I told them to sit on the couch for a full week and not train, they would have completely gone crazy. And you said the real discomfort is to see what it would be like without the suffering. And Tim has this "what if it was easy" line.
Yeah,
and
that's the discipline. People always say to me, like, how do you do these ultra distance events, and how do you have the motivation to get up every day and train? And the math in their mind is that's where the discipline comes into play. What they don't realize is, like, that's what I want to do. That's what I prefer to do. Actually, certainly there's days you don't want to do it and you have to call on a little bit of discipline, but that's my joy. The discipline comes in when, yes, you're like, today's a rest day. You're not allowed to go do that thing that you enjoy doing. Or, you're going to sit and meditate for 30 minutes, or you're going to write something and, you're going to walk away from it and not edit it, or you're going to maybe only spend half the time you would ordinarily preparing for a podcast. You know what I mean? That's hard.
Fuck.
Going the extra mile is rote. That's second nature to me.
Yeah. It's fascinating. I find this quirk of a particular type of human very, very fascinating.
But I think a way in is to think of it in the context of flow states. And by that, I mean, can you inhabit a state of allowing? Can you be an open channel and in a disposition of surrender, where you are receiving almost like an antenna as opposed to willing things, trying to make them happen. Again, I'll take it back to recovery. I mean, one of the first things you learn is your powerlessness over drugs and alcohol, and that the solution is not going to come as a result of you applying your will to this problem.
Or taking more drugs and alcohol.
It's like self-will run riot is what, it's like, I read that book, you guys, I get it, whatever, I'll figure it out, don't worry about it. And you're trying to solve a problem of the mind with the mind that created it. And you're going to do it by applying this incredible self-will that you have, only to discover that you're digging the hole deeper and deeper and deeper until you're so broken, you let go and you give up and you say, I can't do this alone. Please help me. Not only do I need help, I want help. I'm willing to receive help, and I will take the instruction that's given to me, which requires a tremendous amount of humility. So are you in self-will? Is that self-will out of balance with your life? And what would it feel like and look like to release your attachment to that self-will as an engine of identity and instead be in that very uncomfortable state of being and allowing?